Good morning and welcome. I'm John Ahmann, President and CEO of the Westside Future Fund.
Good morning. I am Ebony Ford, proud English Avenue resident and Hollis Innovation Academy parent.
Hello, good morning. What's good, you beautiful people? It's nice to be back in person again. My name is Benjamin Earley, also a historic Westside legacy resident. How y'all doing this morning?
So welcome. We're going to do a little bit of overview of our program this morning, a little bit of information. So is anyone here for the first time? It's okay. Nothing bad's going to happen.
You got one over here. All right.
You can stand up and make a speech.
All right. Well, I always like to say welcome. We're getting our sea legs back in, being back in person after having done this virtually for so long. But back in person, for those that you're here for the first time, I want to say thank you, and especially do a little overview of our program. So one, I want to make sure that everyone had on their seat this very nice bulletin. So this bulletin has in it the agenda for the morning. It has the bios of all of the speakers that'll be this morning. It has information about your host organization, the Westside Future Fund. It has special announcement in it as well. So we want to make sure you take a look at the devotion. At the bulletin. But our program this morning, we're going to do just a couple more minutes of introductory remarks. And then we always have as part of our program a devotion, that kind of level set for our collective work. I'll talk more about that in just a couple minutes. And after we finish our devotion, we're going to do self-introductions. And so one part of the collective work that we're all working together on is making sure we know each other. So we'll do self-introductions. Hopefully there'll be more people in to self-introduce when we do that. So we'll take time to go around the room and do self-introductions. And then we finish self-introductions. Ebony and Benjamin talk a little bit more about the program and get ready and set up our panelists. And then we'll have our panelist discussion on public safety this morning, for which we're very grateful. Atlanta Police Foundation, Atlanta Police Officers to be with us this morning. Thank you. And we'll do our panel discussion that Benjamin will moderate. And then at the end, we'll have a few concluding remarks, and we are done and out by 9 o'clock. And if you're here in person, you loved it so much, you can race home and watch it on YouTube. It'll be immediately available. But we're live broadcasting right now, so for the folks that are here, the cameras that are around, that's for our live broadcast.
Absolutely. Yes, and as John said, today is all about Atlanta Police Foundation. So we are very, very grateful for the work that they're doing to keep our city safe. And their mission is actually to make Atlanta the safest large city in the nation. And so amen. I'm ready. So we're very excited to hear the initiatives that they're going to employ to do that mission.
Yeah, and I'm thrilled to be able to again host the panel discussion this morning. I know there are a lot of concerns around public safety, especially right now in the city of Atlanta, especially on the west side. So I'm thrilled for the work that Atlanta Police Foundation is doing and APD to help mitigate some of the problems that we see within our community, but also beyond just the negative things. They're doing a lot of positive things as far as outreach and community resources that they're offering so that, we can help to create a more sturdy sort of sense of community here on the west side with all of the changes that we have going on. That being said, we would love for you, and when I say love, y'all, I mean L-O-V-E, we would love for y'all to stay connected with us on social. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. We want to help spread this information all over the internet, all right? So spam people with it if you got to, but help us to share this information because only then can it be useful when people actually know about it. So help us to share the wealth a bit. And again, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. You can follow us, add us. If you have comments, questions, if you'd like to be a part of a summit, you want to come and deliver a devotion at one of the future summits, send us a direct message, or you can send us an email, info@westsidefuturefund.org. We'll be happy to connect with you.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you. And I guess get connected fast on Twitter, especially before Elon Musk, there's acquisition going on.
Overhaul.
So we might be getting connected on Tesla.
True.
A little off script there, but
Okay.
But we appreciate it. So the devotion, we always start for the first time folks the summit with a devotion, help level set, and also appreciating how much the faith community and faith leadership has been a part of the Westside culture and history. So we always start a devotion with our summits with the devotion. We asked our devotion speaker not to give a lesson necessarily on it, but to draw inspiration from the story of Nehemiah. So in the Old Testament, the story of Nehemiah, the cupbearer to the king, who goes called back to Jerusalem to make Jerusalem safe again for the residents, and the story of rebuilding the wall, and for me, really the story of linking into a common set of values that once that wall is built, how you live in and govern together. So we always take inspiration from that story, and I'm going to level set our devotion with a statement that we always read before the devotion. So you're going to see it up behind me, and I'm going to read it as well. It has become our tradition to begin our meetings with a positive, inspirational message from a member of our community. Recognizing that many in our community are driven by their spiritual faith to participate in the Westside Revitalization effort, the time at the beginning of our meetings is an opportunity to share various inspirational reflections. While the speakers may articulate their personal faith, is meant to be inclusive, inspiring, and meaningful, with the story of Nehemiah as our guide. So I'm very pleased that we have, as our devotion speaker, Tameka Askew, and she has a lot of history on the West Side, including having spent some time working at the Promise Center as well when she was with Chris 180. But she joined the Westside Future Fund within the last month or so. And yeah, we're very delighted to have her. And with the Westside Future Fund, she's our Home on the Westside manager. So all the housing that we're bringing online, our rental, our anti-displacement tax fund, as well as our home ownership, Tameka works with residents that are interested in that housing, especially those that are interested in having housing, learning how to become a homeowner. So we help subsidize home ownership. So I know she's got a lot of a passion for the folks on the West Side and helping folks on the West Side. And so we're lucky enough that it's not something we always make our new people do. So we really appreciate her stepping up, being willing to take on the devotion. So please give her a round of applause as she comes up and leads us.
Good morning, everyone. When I was asked to do this devotion, I was, I don't know, I don't like talking in front of people. Everyone's like, no, you do like talking in front of people. But the book of Nehemiah is so fitting to what we do on the West Side. As myself, I say this is not a job for me. This is a calling for me. I'm truly passionate about the community, the people, and just the community as a whole. So today I just wanted to share a little bit about my insight on reading the book of Nehemiah. The story of Nehemiah is a powerful message on when you align yourself with the will and plan of God, you can accomplish the impossible. The book of Nehemiah is a great story of the rebuilding of Jerusalem, which can be applied today as we work to rebuild the West Side community. Nehemiah internalized the pain of the stories and the problems he was working to address. According to Nehemiah 1:4, he sat down and wept and mourned for days. As community leaders that are passionate about restoring the West Side, we sit down and voice our concerns for shift of betterment in the community. We advocate for change within the community. The model of Nehemiah implements one form of loving our neighbors and engaging in restoration is through community organizing. The definition of community organizing is the coordination of cooperative efforts and campaigning carried out by local residents to promote interests of their community. The goal of community organizing is to create a systemic change by identifying a common issue, looking at the systems and structure, and enacting a plan for change. I know one of the issues on this side is housing. That is a big issue. What if instead of us running away and throwing our hands up, we join together in an effort to better our communities? What if instead of running away from politics, we simply find ways to utilize the power of our elected officials and ask them to lend their ear and their position to things we have a heart for? We have not because we ask not. By coming together, we can be a part of creating a total change in our communities that begins to look like bits and pieces of God's kingdom coming to fruition on earth. As a group, we can move with efficiency and effectiveness to create tangible change in the Westside community, meaning change that we can see and we can also touch. Nehemiah internalized the pain of the people and the problem he was working to address. One thing to remember is Nehemiah didn't just build a wall, he rebuilt it, stone by stone. And in reading Nehemiah rebuilding, he was bold enough to go to the king and say, I need to be off. Who asked their boss to be off, but then I need you to give me the stuff to supply, which is not anything pertaining to my job? Who does that? But he did, because he believed so much in the community, but he also believed within himself and was bold enough to tackle a project that should have took years, but it took him 52 days to build a wall that should have took years. So one of the things I want to talk about is some of the principles to keep in mind as we organize and rebuild the Westside community. We have to be alert. Watch for answers and solutions for change. Be ready for opposition. No good deed goes unpunished. No idea goes unopposed. Be mindful of your opponents and be not weakened. Prepare for the worst. There is no change without roadblocks and a pushback. Dare to fight back. Nehemiah didn't tremble and fight. Sometimes God will run a protective shield around you where nothing will be able to get through. God will also use opportunities to fight the battle through you. United we stand, divided we fall. As people dedicated in rebuilding the Westside community, we are determined to see change. Be determined. The people were dedicated to not being sidetracked from attacks from the outside and within. Keep moving forward, following through. It's one thing to start a job, it's tough to finish it. Nehemiah wrote, "Then I said to them, you see the bad situation we are in, how Jerusalem lies in ruins, and its gates are burned with fire. Come, let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we may no longer be of disgrace." We must organize and push forward to get the job done that we want to see actually on this Westside community. In closing this message, as we seek to organize and rebuild the Westside community, let us all remember that this is not a I solution. This is a we solution. So we must actually come together as one and unite. Thank you.
Miss Askew, but not new to the game. We appreciate you. John?
No, thank you, Tameka. Especially she just kind of stepped up. I think that's the first one who's worked for the Westside Future for the Next actually given the devotion. So let's give her another round of and clearly being thoughtful about the lessons that we need to pull out of Nehemiah and apply to our work and think about every day. And I appreciate when I was thinking about when you were going through that is some of those timeless lessons. Somehow we kind of forget during the day these timeless things we need to remember to kind of keep us centered and moving. So thank you for reminding us this morning and leading us through the devotion. Appreciate it. And for anyone that's either watching live or sitting here this morning would like to lead the devotion, we'd love to give you that opportunity. So let us know to lead the devotion. And I think I don't have my script up with me, Benny, but this is where we go to self-introductions, or are we doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So this is the part where we're going to do self-introductions, and what's for the folks that are new. I think everyone else would know. I'm going to grab a mic in just a second, and I'll start on my left, y'all's right, and we're going to go around the room and ask folks to stand up and we're going to ask you to say your name and your affiliation. You could say, I live in this part of the city, or I work for this organization. and then we're going to ask you just to stop after that. Just not, if you have a lot more to say, we want to provide an opportunity for that either in our bulletin or through other mechanisms, just in the sake of getting around the whole room. Not that whatever you might have to say next is not really important. And so, and also, as we're going through the introductions, encourage you, if you hear about somebody and think about, wow, that's something that I might like to get to know better, or maybe they have something I can help with, or vice versa. So the point of the self-introductions is to facilitate, those connections that can hope, really help the collective work move even faster. So
We got some mics over here.
All right.
Good morning. My name is Tanara Turner. I'm the program manager for the Atlanta Police Foundation on the Westside.
Good morning. My name is Tameka Porter. I work for an organization called Our Village United in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, welcome.
Good morning. My name is Myrna Clayton. I'm Executive Director for Showability. We support performing artists and actors with disabilities.
Thank you.
Sean Watwood, Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Good morning, I'm Kelsey Hull with the Atlanta Police Foundation.
Good morning, I'm Corey Bishop with the Standing with Survivors Mobile Advocacy Unit at Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation.
Morning, everybody. I'm Tom McCarran. I do recovery work with two of our homeless shelters, Gateway Center and Hope House, and I'm also a volunteer with Westside Volunteer Corps.
Good morning. My name is Colleen Higgins, and I'm a community engagement person with the City of Atlanta Public Defender's Office, and we're very vested in our Westside neighbors.
Thank you.
Rogers Williams, Icon Filmworks. RJ Miller, The Gathering Spot.
Oh, I'm Benjamin Earley. How y'all doing?
Hi, good morning. My name is Charles Ford. I'm with Westside Future Fund and a Westside resident.
Good morning, Kelsey Wright, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Nicole Jones, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Deidre Strickland, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Marnie Pittman, Westside Future Fund.
Rachel Carey, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Tameka Askew, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Raquel Hudson, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, I am Robin Washington with Westside Future Fund.
Hello, Natasha Anderson, Westside Future Fund.
Hello, Ebony Ford, Westside Future Fund, English Avenue resident, District 3, Hollis Innovation Academy parent, and this is?
Jeremiah.
Last name?
Adeyemi.
And you go to what school?
Hollis.
Go Hollis.
All right, guys.
James Hammond, Icon Filmworks.
Brandon Brando, TMPAV.
David Herring, TMPAV.
Jake Swinson, TMPAV.
Shobek Cillian, TMPAV.
Jamel Evans, TMPAV.
Daryl Peak, Icon Filmworks.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Cortez. I'm a graduating senior at Morehouse College. I major in psychology and I'm from Vallejo, California.
All right, thanks for being here.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Glenna Tyler, a 22-year resident in Vine City.
Good morning, everybody. Caitlin Behringer, Open Hand Atlanta and Mechanicsville resident.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gerard Reynolds, and I'm a public relations consultant for Redclay-Hill.
And tell folks what you're doing.
I'm posting pictures and videos of the Transfer Westside Summit right now. So currently, when everybody's speaking, I'm posting the pictures and videos.
Hi, I'm Alan Bell, and I'm with the Atlanta Resource Foundation. And just 1 second, 5 years I've been coming to these meetings, and I think I've met about 20 people, and we've had meals after meeting each other at these meetings. So thank you for the entire Westside Future Fund staff, and thanks for everybody at home who's unable to be here. We miss you, and hopefully we can all be together soon.
Good morning, Charles Merriweather, Goodwill. I'm excited to announce that our store will be opening this Thursday at 2160 Metropolitan Parkway South. We hope you all come out and get some good bargains and go over to the Career Center and look for a job. Thank you.
Kathleen Bryant with Partners in Change, providing free volunteer coaches for adults who are pursuing goals.
Good morning. My name is Dan Cathy, and I hope you're enjoying our biscuits this morning. Actually, Dan, if you're watching, appreciate all you do. Love you, miss you, and hope to see you soon. Actually, my name is Bob Dickinson, and I'm Executive Director of the Esteemed Sports Foundation.
I'm Joey Brown with Partners in Change.
Good morning, Neil Shorthouse with Partners in Change.
All right, yes, sir.
Good morning, I'm Officer Hans Jean-Pierre. I live at Unity Place. I guess I appreciate Westside for having us.
Good morning, Lakeisha Walker, Atlanta Police Foundation.
Good morning, Karen Rogers, the Atlanta Police Foundation.
Good morning, Reginald Moorman, City of Atlanta Police Department.
Good morning, Major Anthony Singh, Cops, APD.
And before we turn it back over to Benjamin and Ebony up on stage, did anyone walk in and wanted a self-introduction? We missed anybody? We get everybody? All right, y'all. Thank you.
Right, again, thank you for everybody who's here in person. Also, thank you for everybody that's tuning in with us online. I'm going to sip this water right here because my mouth a little bit dry this morning, y'all. But yeah, if you're watching online, go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section. Just, extending a nice Friday morning greeting. It's a beautiful day. We're all blessed to be here. So go ahead and show your love for another day on the West Side in the comment section below. Also, if you have any questions for our panelists throughout the panel discussion, go ahead and drop those in the comment section below. We might have time for a quick Q&A after the panel discussion. So put everything that you want to ask in the comment section. And also hit like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Again, we're trying to help get this information out there and help spread the wealth throughout the community as far as all of the resources that are offered here at the Transform Westside Summit.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a few informational items before we get to our awesome panel today. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Westside Future Fund, our mission is to create a community that Dr. King would be proud to call home. So we're working every day out in the community to try to accomplish this mission, and we do this with the work of our board of directors. I think we got that slide, there it is. And I do want to mention, I want everyone to know, this is an all-volunteer board. So these people are not paid for the work that they do for Westside Future Fund. So we are very, very grateful for their service to the city, to the Westside, to the residents, and for Westside Future Fund. We also have a very, very dedicated team at Westside Future Fund. Almost all of them, if you heard the introductions, are here today helping out with the summit, so we really, really appreciate them as well. None of this work would be getting done if it was not for our teams. And we do have a few people that we are still very grateful for who are not necessarily on the slide. Kelsey Wright, Mr. Benjamin Earley here, Janora Crook, I don't think she's here, and also Derek Jordan. So again, very, very thankful for all of our team members. And also, we do have a very, very exciting program, okay, at Westside Future Fund. It is the Program-Related Investment Initiative. So What this program does, you cannot support the Westside residents without supporting the Westside businesses, right? I mean, everybody would agree on that. So what this program does is give very low cost, very favorable term loans to minority-owned enterprises on the Westside. So it has to be either based on the Westside or serving Westside residents. And so please apply for that program. This is the second cycle. The application deadline is May 31st. Please check out the website, westsidefuturefund.org/PRI, and on there you will find the actual application, the criteria, and I also think if we have any information sessions, they'll be on there as well. Also, I hope everybody has their raffle ticket, because I don't want to get to the end when it's time for me to draw numbers and people are saying, well, I didn't get mine, so make sure you get yours if you don't already have it. It's in the back, right back here, she's waving. So anybody who does not have it, please get your raffle ticket, because we are giving away a gift card from the Home Depot Foundation today and also Goodwill of North Georgia. So please put your name in the hat so that you can possibly win a gift card today. All right, thank you.
That being said, I guess it's time for us to go ahead and start welcoming up our guests for today, and I'm actually going to move this out of you all's way. And I'm gonna hop a squat right here. How y'all feeling this morning? It's a little dry. I want to just feel y'all energy real quick. Can we get a woo, a good morning applause? There we go. All right, now we awake. Now we awake. All right, again, we are so grateful to have Atlanta Police Foundation represented this morning, as well as Atlanta Police Department, all of the work that they're doing to provide safety and security, not just on the west side, but throughout Atlanta. And our first guest that I'm gonna welcome up is Resident Officer at Unity Place, Officer Hantz Jean-Pierre of Atlanta Police Department. Yes, sir. Yeah, you just come on up. And following him, we have Major Reginald Moorman, Zone 1 Commander, Atlanta Police Department. We have Ms. Karen Rogers, Director of Community Development, Atlanta Police Foundation. We have Major Anthony Singh, Atlanta Police Department, Community Service Division, Community-Oriented Police Section, AKA COPS. And last but not least, Ms. Lakeisha Walker, Vice President of Youth Initiatives at Atlanta Police Foundation. Thank you all for joining us this morning. I'm gonna go ahead and stand up because this is a beautiful photo op right now with Atlanta's finest. Just one more applause for our esteemed guests this morning. We appreciate you all. All right. One time for the people taking pics in the back. Say safety.
Say run.
All right, everybody, you can go ahead and take your seats. Let's get into it. So first question I want to pose to actually you, Ms. Rogers. Yes. If you could just talk a bit about Atlanta Police Foundation's goals, you all's mission and values.
Yeah, sure. The Atlanta Police Foundation was established back in 2003. And basically we work to bring public-private resources supporting the work of public safety. We spend a lot of time supporting the work of APD, the programs that they run, but we also work to integrate a lot of resources from our philanthropic partners into the work. In the last, I guess, say 6 years, our work has been very place-based, and our model has started here on the west side. But we manage programs all over the city, from the north side to the south side, and we'll get into a lot of the programming today. But the main goal of the Atlanta Police Foundation is to make Atlanta a safer city.
All right. Next question is for Major Moorman. So we're actually gonna have a slide that pops up. I think that's it. Major Moorman, can you tell us a bit about the Westside Security Plan? Talk about what the Westside Security Plan is and the various programs that are associated with it.
So the Westside Security Plan was created to efficiently direct public safety strategies and resources integrating crime control, and neighborhood revitalization with a focus in the Westside neighborhoods of English Avenue and Vine City. And so I know that as we're kind of talking today about that security plan, we're going to touch on what we do in Zone 1, as well as the secure neighborhoods, the At Promise Center, the Public Safety Training Center, and I think we have a little something up our sleeve because we have a special announcement to make as well.
Okay, and I'm excited to hear more about the programs that you all have a little bit later
Absolutely.
on. Major Singh, what are the plans for the next steps regarding public safety on the West Side? And can you share a bit about the relaunch of Westside Blue initiative?
Yes. So what we're currently working on is, number one, is putting officers in this neighborhood to live, work, and play with the community. We're putting the cameras, which fall under Operation Shields, and we are also starting a subsidized Westside off-duty police patrol, bring it back. This is not on the slide, but I was assigned to Zone 1 in 2015, and I remember the neighborhood over in Vinings was different. So I'm seeing an evolution since 2016 to current, and it can only take off from here and rocket.
Zone 1, you know, I really appreciate the work that you all are doing over there. I know the police department is right there by Center Hill, and that is a place where, you know, my brothers and I, we grew up playing basketball off of Bank Hill, for anybody that is from the area. And it's literally a basketball court right next to the police precinct. And so, you know, just having that as a backdrop, this particular precinct, Zone 1, Atlanta Police Foundation, they've been in the community for a while, and they've been, you know, putting together different efforts that have effectively created a better connection between, you know, the officers that serve as well as the residents of the community, and I can actually attest to that. I appreciate the work that you all have done. And the next question, we're going to go with Major Moorman again. Can you tell us a little bit more about how people, you know, who are interested in helping to improve public safety on the West Side, how they can connect with you all, what types of resources you all offer, and how you can move forward as far as a collaborative effort to
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'll say that in Zone 1, I'm glad that you talked about playing basketball over there at the Center Hill Park. I'm from Atlanta, so I used to come down there and beat you. So no, I'm joking, I think. But I'm actually from Atlanta as well, and as a part of my bio, it was very interesting. I can drill down a little bit more, and I like being here because I am actually from the west side of Atlanta. My church is actually in Askew Heights, and so it was really when Chief Bryant assigned me as the commander here in Zone 1, I couldn't be happier. And it's actually a beautiful thing to grow up in a community and then be responsible for leading the men and women who kind of take at task every day on working on your public safety and your security. And so I'll say that how you can be involved, we rely heavily on the community to accomplish the things that we're doing in the community. And when I first came, you know, I really believe in those partnerships. I came up with a citizen advisory committee, and that's something that we definitely can do. But in this citizen advisory committee, have members of each community, a representation of different communities in Zone 1, so that I was able to hear their concerns and also leverage some of their resources as we address some of the issues. We have the Citizen Police Academy that's going on right now, and I send that information out to try to get people involved in that as well. Of course, making sure that if you're seeing something, giving us a call. We've had people to come out to the precinct and help us out and meet and mingle, and to get those relationships where your beat officer isn't just, you know, the officer running down the street. You know them. by their first name. It may be Benjamin, it may be Ebony, it may be John. And when you have that relationship with your people, it's a positive thing. I say that we also ask you to participate in a lot of our community engagement, also led by Major Singh, such things such as National Night Out. We do Coffee with a Cop out of his shop. And one of the things, we talked about being faith-based earlier, and I love the presentation earlier today. We do, it's a play on P, pizza with police and pastors. And so it's not necessarily just for church people, but we do these events in the church because the churches are in the community. And so we come and we come together and we have frank conversation. And we talk about whatever's concerning in the community, and they're actually very, very good. And the pizza's pretty good too, but the conversation's a little bit better than the pizza.
And I want to just, pick up on the fact that you said you're from Atlanta, especially also being from Atlanta. Atlanta has its own culture. Atlanta, and Black Atlanta especially, has its own sort of culture. And so when we talk about effective policing, and when we talk about creating a relationship between the community and those who are, tasked with protecting and serving, I think it's very, very important that we highlight the fact that there's representation of the community there, because that matters, because you might approach a situation with a little bit more empathy than a person who does not necessarily relate to the background of the person involved in the situation. So I just want to commend APD, because I know personally, I probably half a dozen people who I went to high school with who went on to become officers, still working throughout the city now. So it has over time given me a better understanding of the dynamics between how we effectively create that relationship between the community and between law enforcement. And I think something that's representative of that is the fact that, we don't necessarily have as many of those high profile issues where you see bias a lot. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm saying that we as a city, aren't necessarily known for that in particular. And so I appreciate the work that APD has been doing to be intentional about inclusivity on the force and intentional about representation. So that's a beautiful thing. Ms. Rogers, if you could just speak a bit about recruit housing with APF.
Going to flip around on the slide, and we have our resident officer here, Jean-Pierre, and I think he would be best to talk about how things are going at Unity Place.
Well, thank you, Ms. Rogers, and thank you for Westside Fund for having us. I'm Officer Hantz, Jean-Pierre, been with City of Atlanta Police Department for going on 5 years. I currently work in Zone 2 Morning Watch. I'm a beat officer. I think being a police officer has always been a dream of mine. It's not just a career or a job for me, it's a passion to serve, the residents that live in Atlanta. So when this opportunity came up with the Unity Place, I wanted to jump on it because I wanted to get involved. Because I remember when I was coming out of the academy almost 5 years ago, there was a stigma that went as like officers stick with officers and police recruits stick with police recruits. So it was like a gap. So I wanted to bridge that gap where I wanted to be that officer to be involved to make it comfortable experience for the recruits. Because a lot of times they have questions and they feel embarrassed and they're intimidated of asking the officer, hey, I got this question about such and such, and the answer to that. So it becomes almost like they feel like they'll be an annoyance. So I wanted to go ahead and get myself involved so I can go and bridge that gap. And it was a wonderful opportunity for me because this is something that this is the first time we're doing this, and I wanted to be right there in the face of this, and so I know it's going to be evolutionized, where there's going to be more opportunities for this to come about. So, and really what I do is, again, I have a relationship with the recruits. I help them with whatever they need help with. If they have any questions, just to explain to them more about their job titles as they go and embark in the streets of Atlanta, how to be confident, how to be a professional, because Atlanta Police Department, working for this department, and to attest what he was saying, this is a really good department. We do things the right way here in Atlanta, so I'm happy to be part of that.
And we actually have a video, I think, about the police housing. Did you want to show that now?
Yeah, so, this is the first in the nation neighborhood-based housing for police recruits. And a few years back, we heard some disturbing stories that, you get to Atlanta and there were some recruits literally living in their cars. Too embarrassed to say, ask for help. And when that situation kind of arose 2 times, 3 times, we said, we got to look at doing something about it. So our president and CEO, Dave Wilkerson, solicited and kind of talked about it with the philanthropic community, and we were able to get some resources, and we secured a property at 744 North Avenue. Now let me tell you about 744 North Avenue. And when Major described earlier, putting public safety resources, combining it with neighborhood revitalization. That property had been abandoned for over 25 years. And you had all sorts of things going on onto that property. And so now the whole street has just completely turned around. The neighbors have been very welcoming. He is very good about knocking on doors and letting people know who's who and that they're there. On the photos you see here, of course, it was our ribbon cutting. We were very proud of it. It didn't take us long, maybe 2 years from conception to completion. And the bottom photo, I was being a little nosy there. I knew he was going to have his first meeting with the recruits. I'm going to wonder what he's going to say. So they were so excited. I mean, I literally was watching as some of them drove up with their backpacks. It's fully furnished. They can stay there their entire time through field training. And then we will work with them in transitioning into either permanent housing. We hope for them to become homeowners. The likelihood of you staying in Atlanta after you've been trained, if you are a resident of Atlanta, rather than going to another department. So it also affects training and recruitment. But we are so excited when we met Jean-Pierre. And this is a result of Major Singh diving in deeply to find the best person for the job. And we think we have a really good person. He is like a big brother to those guys and really motivates them. So we're happy to have him.
I love it. Let's go ahead and roll the video on the recruit housing.
A new apartment now open, helping keep Atlanta police recruits close to home. A ribbon cutting held today on this brand new housing complex. The building is the first of its kind for the city of Atlanta.
It will be home to dozens of recruits as they train at the police academy. CBS 46's Mary Smith reports.
Some recruits moved in here yesterday to this building on North Avenue. 30 people can live here, 29 recruits and 1 sworn officer. This apartment complex for Atlanta police recruits is the first of its kind for the city.
We all stand tall for public safety in this city.
The idea came about after city officials learned some recruits were sleeping in their cars because they had nowhere to stay.
So we were actually losing people because they couldn't afford to stay here. This gives them the opportunity to stay, and so we will continue to grow our police department.
For discounted rent, they can rest their heads here at Unity Place while they train in the academy for 26 weeks.
The city of Atlanta is doing this because we want every young man and woman that wants to be in law enforcement, we want them to choose Atlanta Police Department to serve until their retirement. And getting a good start is what we're going to do right here in this facility.
It's a concept the city says it hopes to expand, putting more officers or recruits in apartments and homes to engage with the community.
The mayor's plan is to hire 250 officers in the first year and every year for the next several years. And ultimately, right now, about 25% of those police recruits are coming from outside the city of Atlanta, metro Atlanta area, which means we need somewhere between 75 to 100 beds if we wanted to do this for every police recruit.
In Atlanta, Mary Smith, CBS 46 News.
All right, that's good stuff. That's great stuff. And I wanna sort of shift gears a little bit here now, because when we talk about, of course, effective policing, a lot of that comes back to effective prevention of crime in the first place. And what that looks like in practice is especially just within this community, speaking specifically about the West Side, is looking at what are the conditions that people are in. And it's looking at what are the conditions that our youth are in. What types of situations do they have going on? What types of resources are available to them? And Ms. Walker, I know you're over at the At Promise Center, you know, helping to lead the charge over there. And if you could just talk a bit about the initiatives that you all have over there and the programs that you offer.
Yes, so I know most of you are familiar with the At Promise initiative, but for those who are not, our mission is to reduce juvenile crime while building relationships between law enforcement and community. So the way that we do that is through our At Promise centers. So we focus on 3 focus areas: diversion, intervention, and prevention. So we're a diversion program first and foremost, because we want to make certain that we provide resources and support for our young people who have unfortunately had negative contact with the criminal justice system. However, we are a fully functioning youth center, so we don't turn any youth away. As I just mentioned, one of our focus areas is prevention as well. So we do offer after-school programming for a young person who needs a safe space, number one, and that exposure and engagement in activities. So internally, we have 5 different service providers all housed under one roof. So we're not working in silos trying to tackle this thing alone when it comes to our youth. We're really working together collectively. So just to give a shout out to some of our partners that are in our Westside location, being Chris 180, Urban League of Greater Atlanta, Raising Expectations, Boys and Girls Club of Metro Atlanta. We have the Police Athletic League as well that's housed inside of our At Promise centers. So we're coming up on year 5. So everyone knows that our Westside location is our very first location that was opened August of 2017. So we're super excited to be coming up on year 5. We're getting out of this COVID situation so that we can get back to normal and really serve as many youth as possible. And then learning from the things that, implementing the things that we've learned during COVID as it relates to best practices and how to operate a little bit more efficiently. So that really challenged us. However, we never closed during COVID. We never closed during COVID when other programs were closed and our youth had nothing to do. So I want to personally thank the Westside community for embracing this initiative, for embracing us, allowing us to come into your community to provide these services. Because of that, we're expanding. So if you look at the slide, within coming up on 5 years, so less than 5 years, we've opened 3 facilities. So it's just showing you the demand for what's needed in our city. It's also showing you the impact, the support that we have from the community, whether it's the business community, our city. So the first picture you see is our Westside location. The second picture here is our second location, which is on Metropolitan Parkway in the Pittsburgh community. We opened that location February of last year. And then we just opened our 3rd location here on the campus of the Andrew and Walter Young YMCA on Campbellton Road in February. So February 1st of 2022. And we're looking forward to opening our 4th location. And all of this is possible because of the support that we've received here on the West Side.
And, you know, just highlighting some of the things that I like. I got a chance to tour the At Promise Center on our, you know, in this community. And one of the things that I was marveling over was the amount of resources that were inside. And this was near the start of the pandemic. And you guys were offering food to the community. You were offering free internet to students who were in need, to students who couldn't, you know, they didn't have the resources at home. They were welcoming students to come in to use the internet, and they had like a literal designated area where kids could socially distance but have the resources that they needed, whether it be a laptop or, you know, any type of school supplies. And I really appreciated that because, you know, the pandemic really did emphasize that gap in education, and it's one of those things that it takes a collective effort to sort out. And so seeing that you all went above and beyond to not just provide, safety and security in these programs that you're offering, but you also took the step to invest in the education of these youngsters, because that matters towards preventing future crime, and that matters towards creating situations where these young people are in better position to take advantage of opportunities they wouldn't have otherwise been offered had they not received that education. So thank you all for that. And how can people refer young people to the At Promise Center? What does that look like?
So we work closely with the courts. So we receive referrals from the courts, the district attorney's office, solicitor's office, Atlanta Public Schools, as well as the community. So for our community members, if you know a young person who's in need of services, please, you can give them our number. You can walk them to the At Promise Center. You can call us and we can reach out to them. But we rely heavily on referrals, as well as walk-ins.
And the last question before we open it up, we're going to open it up to the audience again. If you're watching online, you can go ahead and drop your question in the comment section below. We'll be happy to get to it. But Ms. Rogers, I want you to sort of highlight the Public Safety Training Center that you all have and talk about that initiative.
We want to roll that to the end, and
All
if
right.
we could switch to Major Singh
Sure.
to talk a little bit about our courtesy office and our homeowners programs.
Okay,
Because
absolutely.
Secure Neighborhood is a big program for the Police Foundation, making sure that officers and recruits become homeowners or some type of renter into the city of Atlanta, live where you work.
Yeah.
So we'll let him talk a little bit about that.
Just to emphasize on the Secure Neighborhood Program, the Atlanta Police Foundation started this thing back when they started. And when I got over to the community policing section, I realized it's not just only a partnership just in paper. So I dive deep down into it and get involved. And what we does currently is solicit officer who live down in Stockbridge or in Douglas County to apply for homes. And we have a panel, and we vet the officers to see if they choose a zip code, mostly on the west side or Pittsburgh, and we put these officers into homes. In the past, I've been here 28 years, an officer would live as a courtesy officer in apartment complex, and the resident that live in these apartment complex don't know who the courtesy officer is on site. And so what the Police Foundation did is offer certain incentive for officer and other community, just an apartment complex, to participate into similar secured neighborhood. So it's not, if you're an officer who haven't got to the pinnacle of home ownership, we try to get you in an apartment resident, and we engage everybody in the resident, because like Major Moorman said, that the police department is only responsible, or can only be responsible for probably 20% of controlling crime. 80% is the community, is us. I live in the city, I live in Summerhill, and I lived there 28 years. So you guys know, when I went to Summerhill 28 years ago, it wasn't developed, but I've watched it grown. And the Westside here is a dream that's gonna come to reality. One day you're gonna wake up and it's gonna be the reality that you were sleeping on. And so therefore, securing the apartment complex and the Safe Neighborhood Program, we bring everybody together. And even just to see a forum like this and the community come out so early, when Ms. Rogers sent me the invitation, I had to look, is it PM or AM? Because I'm not used to being out so early. And so this is an awesome program, and the Secure Neighborhood have a responsibility. The officer, they doesn't just get the houses or live in the neighborhood. There's an accountability. So every month they submit a report, and it goes through a certain channel, and it ends up on my desk. And if I'm not happy with what the officer are doing, then I will reject the report and send it back and call that officer up and say, hey, why have you not been over to the Promise Center and engaged some of the kids? So because it's a responsibility. I mean, officer it's not their full-time job. So like Gene, he's got to go to court and he's got to work, he's got to live, he's got to be a normal person outside the uniform. So there's certain expectation. And this is what the Secure Neighborhood does, is just get the officers engaged.
And I love that. I actually live right across the street from a police officer. And, you know, I didn't realize that he was a police officer until I was, you know, I was coming home one day and he was pulling up on, he was a motorcycle police. And so he had his motorcycle. And he pulled up to the house and I waved at him and I'm like, this whole time I've been living across the street from you. I had no idea that you were a cop. But I say that to say that it's important to have those relationships, because to that point, I only knew him as a neighbor, you know, and so the fact that I wasn't looking at him as other because, you know, he was an officer, which frankly, that happens a lot in our community because there's a lot of tension, you know, that historically exists, especially in majority Black communities between residents and officers. So for me, that was a pleasant surprise realizing that, you know, this cool dude across the street got a badge and he didn't have one for a long time. So I just think that is important, having those officers in the community. Did we want to go ahead and show that last video, Ms. Rogers, or did you have something?
Yes. Not sure if the video is loaded in. It doesn't appear to be.
We've got the video on Safety Training Center.
Right.
Right, correct. Let's go ahead and roll that. All right, so I want to go ahead and open it up for our audience. If we have any questions, if you need a moment to think about something, go ahead. And I'll actually start it off. So you know, we're going to shift gears a little bit here, so this might be a little bit more challenging of a segment for you all. But something that is very true and very authentic to the conversation is that, you know, there's a lot of concern about escalating violence in the community. Violence on the West Side. And, you know, I personally have, you know, had people get, you know, excuse me, but I've personally felt the effect of gun violence. Loved ones, you know, and I know several people who that has touched. What is the what is the outlook of as Atlanta Police Foundation and the role that you all play? And even as officers, what is your outlook as far as how we can help curb a lot of this violence? Because you can hear it from, you know, different sides, but I want each of you all's take on what can be done within the community to help curb some of this violence.
I'll start off. Yeah. We encourage everyone to participate in safety. If you know of someone in your neighborhood that you suspect or feel like this person, you can even use your opinion, is not doing the right thing, maybe just an engagement, certain engagement before that person goes astray. Chief Turner brought out this synopsis that said, if you see something, say something. And it doesn't have to be a 911 call. Where I'm from Atlanta, as you can tell, via Jamaica with the accent. I just haven't found the beach. But Where I'm from in Jamaica, Atlanta is like a sister city, and our community, the neighbors are very tight knit. So if the neighbor know that her kid is doing something out of school, then the entire community share that information, and then we try to vet it. So we don't want to always just do enforcement. We want to do intervention. Gone are the days where it's all enforcement. So we want the community to know that they can come to the police department or go to somebody in the community and share information. And we're doing the Operation Shield with the cameras. We have all the technology to fight crime, but the problem is when we detect these crimes, there is already somebody is a victim. So we go back and we run these light pole cameras to see who draw a gun or who did what, who pulled a knife. We don't want to get to that space. We want to nip it before we get to that space, because if there's a detection, then there's a victim. So what we want is prevention. So we want to get the community all involved.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So in the youth space, every time you turn on the news, it's something with a young person. I remember one weekend it was about maybe 5 shootings or murders or something with our juveniles. So I would say really getting more involved as a community to figure out, okay, do this young person have a safe space? Do they have somewhere to go? Like really asking how they are, really communicating with them, because a lot of times we'll see young people, we'll turn our heads because they look a certain way or their pants are sagging and those kind of things, when all you have to do is just engage in conversations. Try to get to know the young people that's in your community, because a lot of times they are the perpetrators and they are the victims. So really getting our young people involved. Please refer them to the At Promise Center. If it's not the At Promise Center, any youth center, to really keep them engaged. Number one is they need to be supervised. So a lot of times they're at home alone or they're out in the streets and no one knows where they are. So they're not being supervised. But if they're at a youth center, like an At Promise Center or any other youth center, at least we know that someone knows where they are and we know what they're doing. And once we get them there, now we're going to engage them in all of the activities. We're going to provide those supportive services that they need. We're going to gauge their interest to see what are they interested in. And based on what they're interested in, a lot of times our youth aren't exposed. They don't have the support. So even as a community coming together, if you know that, hey, this family needs X, Y, Z, helping them to identify what the resources are or where they can find the resources. So just really communicating with each other. It's not about being nosy. It's not about turning your head, because if we don't all address the issue, then it's a problem that's going to affect all of us. So why not do something about it? So just really conversating and referring those young people. Hey, do you know about the At Promise Center? Going to the parents. Hey, how's it going? I saw so-and-so do so-and-so. Just really communicating with each other so that we can resolve the issues together.
And just to interject one more thing, just to piggyback off what she said, we start the midnight basketball program just for folks who, okay, well, it's too early, like for me now, to be out. Then after hours, then you can go to any one of these rec centers, sign up through the PAL program, the Police Athletic League program, which fall under the community policing, and you can play midnight basketball where it allow you to be outside in that safety net.
And I want to add just one more thing to that, just to personalize it a little bit. These programs work. Like if you all are skeptical, like do these programs really work? They really work. I grew up here on the West Side. I had Kennedy Recreation Center to go to every day. So gun violence is nothing new on the West Side. It's nothing new. So every day I will walk to my rec center. That was my safe space. That was my friend's safe space. I had friends that were murdered they were the ones that were not engaged in doing anything. But the ones that were engaged in athletics and activities, people sometimes frown upon athletics. No, it's teaching them teamwork, character leadership development, time management, all of those life skills that our young people need. That's what they're learning in these facilities. And they're around staff that really care. A lot of these people, these young people are coming from broken homes. So a person at the At Promise Center may serve as that person's mother or their auntie or whatever it is that they're lacking. So I am a testament that these programs work. I feel sometimes people question them and they don't always look at youth programs as it relates to like public safety. It is definitely public safety because you know where they are. They're being supervised and you're teaching them skills. So they work. I'm sitting here today because a program like the At Promise Center had resources, had people that were passionate about it and took the opportunity to invest in me. And that's why I can sit here today who I am because of programs like the At Promise Center.
And I'm actually glad that you said that because, and we're going to have a question here from the audience, but you know, the conversation throughout Atlanta right now about crime, about violence and all of this stuff, I think the responsible thing to do is to keep the whole context. You know, people don't just go out, people aren't just born wanting to go out and commit crimes. People don't just wake up one day and have the bright idea, oh, I just want to go and commit crimes. And I'm speaking from the perspective of a person who knows people who have been convicted, who knows people who have been, you know, who's connected and related to people who have been victims of various crimes, knows people that are, you know, drug dealers, all of this type of stuff, just being very real and authentic. And all of these people were good people. Every single one of them was a good person. And I think when we start talking about how to curb crime in the city, a lot of that conversation comes back to what types of situations are these people coming from? What types of resources have these people lacked within their community, within their homes, within their families? What types of resources have not been there? Because a lot of times, particularly with the young people, they use these sort of acts of crime or violence or whatnot, as an outlet for the frustration that they feel with, you know, feeling like the walls are closing in on them. You know, I can't tell you how many friends I grew up with. You go to their house or you go to their apartment and there's no furniture in the house. They're literally sleeping on the floor. You go open the cabinet, there's no food in the cabinet. They went to school because they knew that was guaranteed meals every day. When that's your reality, it's not rocket science why some people find themselves in the streets and committing certain offenses. It's genuinely not rocket science. If people have the resources that they need, they don't feel the urge to come and take yours. And the collective effort, it being a group effort for us to curb crime in the city, it's a responsibility that each of us has to take on, to hold each other accountable for what am I doing to help the situation? What am I doing to help provide for my neighbors who I know are lacking so that their kids don't grow up and come and try to rob me or, you know, God forbid, do something worse. You know, and I just really want to, and I appreciate you for bringing all of it up because it does make a difference when you have resources. I've seen it. I'm a product of it. The very difference between where I'm at right now and where so many other people that I know are at right now is resources. Stable housing. Westside Future Fund is helping to provide that. You know, a relationship with the people who are tasked with protecting and serving you. I was, you know, privileged enough to have that. There were a lot of things that as an adult I look back and I say, you know, I might not have had it all growing up. My mama was the furthest thing from well off growing up. But we were all right. We had a lot of things that I can look back and say that I was privileged in a sense because I knew a lot of people who didn't have that. And so for many people, that's the difference. So again, kudos to everybody that's helping to provide resources. Yes, sir.
I have to touch on something about that
Go ahead.
violent crime.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
And what I will say is on a big overview, when we're looking at the violent crime, what we're seeing a lot is the majority of our violent crime is where the offender and the suspect know one another.
Right.
And so make no mistake about it, we do get out in the community and address a lot of open air incidents. And I think that we've made significant progress in those spaces. But when you look at this violent crime that we're having, a lot of it is happening between relatives, associates, people that are knowing each other. There are also escalated arguments, disagreements, retaliations. And then we're also looking at these incidents, they're happening at or around people's homes. And so that's one of the challenges that we face. And when you ask what can we do as a community, is really focus on our conflict resolution. We can't get to the point where it's so easy for us to pick up and utilize guns against one another. We're pointing guns at one another at an alarming rate. We're shooting at each other. Retaliation from minor incidents, that's what we're starting to have to deal with. And one of the things that we're doing, and I'm glad that you brought that up, me being here in Zone 1, we have a pilot program, ShotSpotter, that we've implemented. And so what ShotSpotter does is when a gunshot goes off, we get that notification within seconds. And so the officers are able to respond. We had incidents. We had an incident that occurred where we had 19 rounds that went off, and we got that notification. I want to say the day that we went live with this pilot program, and the officers responded. They got there so fast that the people that were shooting were surprised. And so the people that were shooting took off running, and we almost caught them that day, but we got there so fast that we identified them. And we got there before the 911 call came to notify us that the people, we did have 2 people shot. So the officers was there to render aid. They was there to be able to facilitate that investigation. And ultimately we found out who did that. And it gives us credibility, because how many times do you have people that say gunshots have gone off, and sometimes they hit and sometimes they don't, but then they're like, they may say, we didn't see the officer. But the officer, we respond to all those calls. So that technology allows us to respond quicker. So we're able to work on some of this violence in the community that we're seeing as well.
I appreciate that. We had a question. We had 2 questions. Okay.
Thank you. My question is related to the disability community. There is a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation, and so I'm curious as to what type of training are the officers going through in order to be able to deal with this? There's autism, there's lots of mental illness, and mental illness is escalating. And so my question is, because of families, because of persons who are very interested in this, what type of training are officers getting so that they don't misunderstand and don't understand how to de-escalate that situation and see this as a person with a disability and not just a regular person?
You want me to address that?
Yeah.
Okay. To answer your question, every officer that entered the police academy in the past, it's called a CIT, which is Critical Incident Training. It used to be a specialized training for officers. So what would have happened, you enter the academy, you graduate, you're out in the field, you are not trained in CIT, that's what it's called. But now every, maybe 18 months, 3 years back, somewhere there, every officer who entered the academy, that's a part of the mandatory curriculum, and it allows you to de-escalate. That's what we teach now, and it's not since the Minnesota. We've been de-escalating for a long time. So every officer is trained how to deal with, especially with the folks with mental delinquency. I give you a quick example. Yesterday, I was on my way to work. I was going to our Cobra meeting. I saw a gentleman sleeping on the bridge at Fulton Street. I stopped, turned on my blue lights, got out. I'm the commander over the cops unit that deal with encampment. So I saw this person wrapped up on the blanket at 9 o'clock. And I stopped, and I got out my car, and I said, hey, wake up, wake up. And out of nowhere, and this go back to the community, out of nowhere, there's this lady who stopped. And I hope she was watching right now to know that I'm talking about it. And she took out her camera and just started recording. And she's saying, hey, I'm not sure if you're going to hurt this gentleman. And I'm saying, I'm not. I've been here 28 years. I got handcuffs, but I haven't put handcuffs on a person in a long, long time. I say I'm waking him up to first make sure he's okay. But the police, when you're dealing with an encounter like that, if the person laying face down on the blanket, these hands is what kill you. So you want to take charge of the situation, and then you can go back to a 2 or a 3, but you have to start at a 4. So I'm saying, hey, wake up. And this lady stopped in the middle of the bridge. And if I was a young officer in my days and time, I would write her a ticket for impeding traffic. But she took out her camera and just started filming. And I said, ma'am, it's okay. It's okay. I'm trying to help this gentleman. But it show the perception. It just show the perception of what society think of the uniform and the badge. And we are I will say, I've worked in 2 police agencies since I've been an officer. I work in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and I work in the Atlanta Police Force. And I'm telling you, not because I'm not biased, but Atlanta city officers are some of the best trained to deal with this kind of network. And we invite other agencies from everywhere, from Sandy Springs, from Brookhaven, to come and sit with us, and we multi-train with different jurisdictions. So I won't say we are the expert, but I think we are far beyond the perception.
Blessings. I think you just made some of my point, but my question was really deviating a little bit. I believe that, of course, most of us do, that relationships are reciprocal. And so a lot of times we're speaking in law enforcement one way, which is what can you provide the community and what do you need to learn for the community? But what I would like to ask is, what is it that the officers, many of us are CBOs here, that can offer services to officers? I am a chaplain for officers, so I believe in the work of law enforcement. How can we serve Atlanta's police department individually, collectively, in a way that creates relationship in a broader sense?
I'm glad you asked that. I'm gonna go back to a slide.
I'm cut off. Could you load up the slides again?
So we had a slide, and one of the things that, when we went through those protests and demonstrations back in 2020, we had a lot of our young officers on those front lines, and I'll tell you, some of the things that they witnessed, some of the things that they heard, I wouldn't wish on anyone. They stood there, they remained professional, and it was tough to listen to. And so, a lot of times, I think what the officers need is a word of encouragement when you come. And it's just like anyone, take an interest in what they do. The top slide right here, if you look at the one at the top, those are members of the Center Hill Neighborhood Association. They came to the precinct. And on this day, it was actually the first, it was ironic, it was the first day of 4 of our officers that hit the street. The first day. They got their badges, they completed field training, and they came. And so what I also did with those 4 officers, I put them on foot beat for 2 weeks and hit them in each neighborhood, and they stopped in. And so to have those conversations, and if they're doing a good job, let them know. It was funny, and I messed with them because some of the the ladies from the Center Hill Neighborhood Association, and some of them was about the same age as some of the officers, and they came and brought them Valentine's treats on Valentine's Day. And if you look on social media, you see it, and the officers, they was grinning from ear to ear. And, you know, I kind of messed with them, but I say that to say that, and he talked about his neighbor that he saw that he didn't know was an officer, and he treated him as an officer. And we get out here and we wear the uniform and we stand tall for you all. But when we go home, we have the same challenges that you all have. And sometimes they may be worse because of the things that we're exposed to and the things that we see. And so if you see, I would say just the support, partnering with your officers, stopping by the precinct. A lot of times I've had people to look at the precinct over at Zone 1 and identify some of the challenges that we have to say, hey, we'll help you with this, or, you know, your picnic table is kind of worn out, you know. Let me help you with this. Or, we have a lot of times that people donate and help us out with things, and that's just a good thing. And I'm not saying that you have to give us anything, but if you see that the officers aren't living up to your expectation, let someone know. But as quick as someone may be to complain, acknowledge them as well. Yeah. And I say that type of support, I mean, it goes a long way.
And to that point, you know, I absolutely, and before we get our next question here, to that point, I 100% agree. Like, we absolutely, y'all gonna hear it when you do wrong. That's just what it is. You gonna hear it when you do wrong. And everybody got a bullhorn these days, so you definitely gonna hear it when you do wrong. So I do think that acknowledging you all as human beings, and that you require affirmation, and that you require acknowledgement of when, you know, you have done something other than mess up on occasion. You know, like your mental health matters. Mm-hmm. You know, and a lot of the relationship is, like Miss Olivia said, it's a mutual exchange. And so, you know, if we want you to continue doing a good job for us, I think it's only fair that we acknowledge when you do a good job. I happened to be in the mix of a situation back in 2020 that could have went really, really wrong. Like really, really wrong. It involved a black guy, and he was bigger than me. And, you know, I was trying to get him to sort of calm down or whatnot, that a situation with him and another person that escalated. And somebody had called the police. You know, it just got really heated really, really quickly. And I just remember thinking, because this was right after George Floyd was killed. And I remember thinking, excuse me, but I remember thinking, oh shit, it's 6 officers that just pulled up. And this is a young black man with locks, like me. For one, I was concerned about his safety, even though he was the one that was riled up. Because immediately my mind goes to, as a young black male, my mind goes to survival. And like you said, that is definitely a part of the equation. But what I was pleasantly surprised to see was the way that these 6 officers, even when they could have had the justification to do more than what they did, there was a lot of restraint. One officer got assaulted, basically. And there was no gunfire, there was no taser, there was no beating him to a pulp. There was none of that. It was resolution. It was conflict resolution. Effective means of calming down the situation. And that was something that I was not expecting. And when I realized that, oh no, APD is really about de-escalating, you know, that was something that really hit me and that has stuck with me, because again, this is right after George Floyd. So this at the front of all of our minds. So I appreciate all of the work and training that Major Singh was just talking about, because it does work, and I've seen it work. And I'm to your question, ma'am, about mental health. When a person is having a mental breakdown, you know, how do we address that as a mental breakdown and not a violent crime? You know, and I think that speaks volumes when you can have 6 officers pull up to a situation like that, and none of them take it to the extreme. So I do want to applaud APD for that and for the training that you all are giving out, because obviously it's working. And I think we had another, okay, we got a question right here. We'll come back to you.
All right. How you doing? My name is Elijah Randall. I'm a media photographer here today. Definitely wanted to talk about the mental health aspect of it. My mother, who is a retired parole officer, my father is a retired correction officer. I definitely see some of what you guys go through when you get home, as far as debriefing and unpacking with your families. I definitely wanted to ask, how do you handle, or how do you teach your new recruits or officers coming in how to handle that mental aspect? I'm from Newark, New Jersey. So I have seen the alternative to not having police officers that are from your community. I'm old enough to remember when officers were in my community and from that area and de-escalating situations, and then when they weren't, and they weren't able to de-escalate those situations or know the gang members in our area to be able to talk to them, talk to their mom, be able to talk to the entire family, be able to de-escalate gang violence when it was getting ready to happen. So how do you guys be able to prepare your new recruits to understand, hey, when you go into these communities, it's not just a defensive mind state. You have to be able to de-escalate the situation in the moment, and also be able to get them to understand, like, hey, you know, during COVID or anything that's happening outside of just their lives, hey, it's a big picture, and we need to make sure everything stays under control.
Let me take a stab at this question. Me personally, as a police officer, one of the things that I pretty much keep in mind is that whenever you go to a call or you make contact with an individual, a lot of times as officers, we're human beings as well. We get emotional. Depends on what the situation is. You have to like kind of take your emotion out of it, so that way you can be neutral, and then you can just assess the situation. So with the recruits that's living at Unity Place, I try to give them that advice. You know, you might go to a scene and you see a domestic violence situation. For example, you probably witnessed that growing up as a child, or maybe you have somebody that you know that's going through this situation right now, and you see a bloody female or male, what have you, and you get emotionally involved because you get upset and you react to that situation. But I always let them know, hey, just keep in mind, this is a job we're doing first. We have to assess the situation, help that individual out. Don't make it about ourselves, take our emotion out of it, which is hard to do because we're faced with so many different calls, like, I mean, from somebody getting stabbed to somebody getting shot, a domestic dispute, what have you. So our emotions is just up and down, but you gotta know how to control that. And so that's why I try to teach the young recruits, because it starts at the Union Place where they're staying at right now. I mean, we do a great job there, and that way we can prepare them to when they go to the academy, and they can become very stable and neutral-minded, and they can go out to the community and then do a really good job. So that's how I look at it. Appreciate
it. My name is Frank Morales, and I just want to say thank you all so much for your service to the community. You know, there's many things that go wrong, but there's most of the stuff, 99% of your stuff that you do well never gets, you know, publicized. But I just want to say, as a veteran, thank you for your service. And I have a question. How does a young person get on track to become an Atlanta Police Department officer?
That's a great question. First of all, I want to say thank you for your service, and thank you for your support. I'll say, and I'll touch on that one. We have various programs within the community. Actually, it's under, I'll touch on the same. We have some various programs where we touch on our youth. We have a really good partnership with the Atlanta Public School System. We also have our after-school programs that follow under our Police Athletic League. We have our Explorers programs, and what we do is we bring our young people in, and then we work with them. We participate in all kinds of career days, and we have our own, and we also have and spend a lot of time at the at Promise Center. And so one of the things that we really focus on is showing the human side of what we do, and talk about the cool side of what we do. And I tell you, when I was growing up, actually right around the corner from me, was an Atlanta police officer. Officer Lonnie Character, he's actually a chaplain now, and he inspired me as well. And he was a very stand-up guy. And so when you see those people like that are in your community, and you know, I had resource officers at my school as well, and we model that. And also another thing that we do is we have a heavy presence on social media. If you look on social media, I know I used to be the cops commander too, just like Major Singh. And if you look deeply in the archives, you might see somebody that looked like me doing something that looks like dancing with the youth to the Corvette song. Oh, it's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing.
Okay,
but
note to self, we got to find that video. Everybody, okay, we got to find that.
But you let people see you like that, and that's how we actually use the social media as well to engage with our younger people too.
That's excellent. And after this, young man, we got our last question right here.
Hey everyone, how y'all doing?
Hey.
All right.
My question is about if you have any implicit bias training for the non-black officers and officers that don't come from the same SES as the communities of which they police. And this one, and then my other question is a little lighthearted because it's a little bit heavy in the room, a little tired. But if you had to say which superhero, Marvel or DC, helps inspire you as a police officer or a community organizer or worker, which one would it be?
I'm not taking that. Go ahead.
Okay. So let me see. I'm gonna tackle the second one first. Which one? I like Batman. I like Batman, but this is the thing. But as Batman proceeded through his career, what did he do? He empowered the community to actually address some of the issues in Gotham more than just him. And so I think that that's where we're going. It's not that we're not gonna do our job, but we also need you to do the job, because protecting the community is on all of us, right? So I'll say whichever team that Batman is, but I'll also say I like the Flash because I say we deliver quick, good service. So I think I'll touch on them. Are they the same as that DC? They're too different? Okay, so implicit bias. That's a really good question. And congratulations on your upcoming graduation from Morehouse.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yes, that's a part of our training program as well. But we don't, and I don't like to isolate color, and I don't like to isolate people from outside of the community. We train everyone on that, and you have to acknowledge that. And you know, it's funny. It's an ugly part of each of us that we do possess these biases. But the good part about it is that we actually embrace it. And so if I know that in my mind I feel a certain way from this, it gives me an opportunity to correct that. But if I don't acknowledge it and I act like it doesn't exist, I act on things that I don't even know. And that's the dangerous part. And the most dangerous part is that it's hidden. Explicit bias, you see it. Implicit, you don't know. And so absolutely we train on it, and we continue to train on it on each level of the police department. We train with our recruits. Of course, we train on the command level, but also in our Atlanta Police Leadership Institute, we train on that as our officers go up the chain of command to be supervisors and start leading, and as lieutenants and captains and majors as well. And I tell you, it's very interesting that you bring that up, because I was sitting up here thinking about my 21 years on the police department and the type of people that I have interacted with, and the growth of the city of Atlanta overall in that time, and how it's so and how we are interacting with so many different people. And even when you look at this community and the growth and the changing of what this community looks like and how beautiful this is over here on this west side, it is amazing. So yes, we definitely do train.
West side, big side all day. Our last question of the morning here.
Thank you. Thank you guys, first of all, for taking your time out of your morning, this early morning, to be here with us. I appreciate it. Mental health is really important. And I know officers within the area are undergoing, a lot of stressful situations. I know Officer Jean-Pierre had touched on it a little bit, but are there initiatives and programming going on to provide mental and emotional health support for officers, ongoing programming, and not just new recruits, but seasoned officers as well? Is that going on? And if not, is that something that's being developed to have at the new training center?
Great question.
I did it.
We have currently, Atlanta PD is one of the few agencies, especially big agency, that have our own EAP, Employee Assistance Program. So we, as like Major said, and to just piggyback off of the psychologist question right there, all of our officers, once you hit the academy ground the first day, they tell you, hey, look, we're not here to change people, but you're going to be a policeman. And it's always once a police and twice a civilian, so you got to think that way. So currently, we have an EAP system where officers are identified through supervisor training, or even peer. Myself and Major Moorman here, we started a peer rep program a long time ago, and it's still in existence. So what would have happened if an officer is going through certain depression or something is bothering that officer, but they don't want to go to the EAP because it showed them up, that's an EAP officer, then they can talk to a peer rep. Meaning talking to a peer rep is like they don't have to talk to somebody in the same precincts. They can talk to somebody, this is zone 1, so they can talk to somebody in zone 6 or zone 2, and they get outside treatment. If they want to go privately, we have mentorship for officer through lots of nonprofit organizations, churches, and chaplains. So we do have in place resources. The problem is getting the victim officer to comfort.
And I'll also say that when we have certain very traumatic incidents, and I've seen a few, and we experience them as the commander, or even the supervisors, we will reach out to our employee assistance program and have them come to the scene or to the precinct, and we'll debrief on that, and then we'll have a follow-up when we do have these horrific incidents that the officers have to witness, because we do see some pretty disturbing things in the job. So yes.
And with that, the Police Foundation has always been there. There have been scenarios really horrific, but the Police Foundation has had to step in supporting the incident as referrals from the command staff. And me personally, there was a peer situation with one of the officers. And so the incident called for other resources. And so the person was just huddled around, let's talk through it, let's figure it out. Everybody went out for their mission, and I think within 48 hours, that person was on a clear path to resolve that issue. So I firsthand have been a witness and participated in an emergency situation they just needed a peer to talk to, and brought in the resources and got that person on the right track.
On that note, I just want everybody to help me in thanking our guests this morning. We appreciate you. Miss Lakeisha Walker, Major Singh, Miss Karen Rogers, Major Moorman, Officer Jean-Pierre. We appreciate you again. Everything that Atlanta Police Foundation is doing and everything that Atlanta Police Department is doing to help provide safety and security, not just here on the west side, but throughout Atlanta. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming to spend this early morning with us. You got your Chick-fil-A as a, going away present, so we appreciate you. And we'll have you just exit stage left here at your leisure. Thank you all again. Join me in the round of applause. We appreciate you. That was amazing. How y'all feel about the conversation?
Yes, that was awesome.
And I hope the same for all of you who were tuning in over social media. We appreciate you all tuning in, and we look forward to continuing to engage with you going forward. And I know we got a few more things on our program before we wrap up.
And I actually, if I can say it, now y'all don't get me, but I have to say this. I know APD is very well trained and very professional and very well versed, and they do an awesome job protecting us, but they also got to be the finest police department I have ever seen in my entire life. And I've lived in a lot of cities, okay? So y'all do not get me, but they reminded me when he said something about the young ladies giving them Valentine's Day treats. And I'm like, well, I can understand why. Okay, so please excuse me, I had to say that. But yes, moving on to the a gift card giveaway. Yes, thank you for letting me get that off my chest. Am I the only one that's noticed that? Or is it just me, y'all? Don't leave me by myself. Okay, thank y'all. I appreciate you. Appreciate you.
What they say, when two or more are in agreement?
Absolutely. I'm so glad I was able to express that here today. Thank you. So moving on, without further ado, it is time to announce the winners of our gift card. Of our gift cards today. So first of all, I'm going to do Goodwill of North Georgia, who, as Mr. Merriweather said here, the store is opening, is it Thursday? Is that April 21st? Okay, all right, you guys, so come on down. It'll be there, open, do some shopping, get some good deals, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you. I'm actually going to be there as well. So for the Goodwill of North Georgia gift card giveaway, the number is 130040. 130040. Who is it? Hey, congratulations. If you don't mind coming up at the end, we'll get a picture, okay?
All right, congratulations.
And also the Home Depot gift card. So as some of you may know, the Home Depot Foundation is investing millions of dollars to revitalize the West Side. So we're very grateful for their support on the West Side, and also we're very grateful for the gift card that they are giving away today. And the winner of that gift card, Home Depot Foundation, is 3990419. 3990419. Who is it?
0419. Somebody got it.
Come on now. They didn't leave early, did they? 3990419. Red ticket.
Oh, okay.
All right, there you go.
All right.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
We'll get a picture at the end, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right. Well,
final thoughts.
We're wrapping up. One, Ben, you want to say great job moderating, the panel discussion. I know you had a lot of heart in that. I know you've had some recent experiences that especially, made that a deep experience for you. So thank you for doing that.
Appreciate
and I want to thank all the folks again. Maybe they're over there grabbing Chick-fil-A, so I appreciate them very much. And I was reflecting on the Nehemiah story of the first part of Nehemiah is to rebuild the wall, and it's not just one brick that is the wall, right? It's a lot of different bricks that go together to make the wall. And I appreciate us all coming together because it reminds me that we're all a brick and rebuilding that wall. And certainly, all that the public safety does is an important part. And the thing I really took out of the discussion, you can see their deep caring for the community and all the things that they do to not have, the violence that occurs, but clearly, the commitment that it doesn't ever get to that point, and the caring for our city and for the community. So that was great to see.
Very good.
And I know, and as we wrap up our next Transform Summit will be featuring the Atlanta Humane Society, which is going to be building a new facility they're going to be talking about. And any other, our final wrap up moments.
That's pretty much it, folks. We'll be back on the first Friday of the next month. Y'all, it's been a long week, so forgive me, I don't remember the exact date, but the first Friday.
May 6th.
There it is, May 6th. May 6th.
Yeah, and tell your friends, you can tell they got lots of seats. Lots of Chick-fil-A.
Absolutely. And we want people to come back and join us in person. We appreciate everybody for coming out. We know, again, I'm going to say this every week because gas prices have not gone down. So we appreciate y'all spending your energy and your effort and your time
And your
coming to share this morning with us.
And I also want to say, I think she came in after introductions, but the chair of the Westside Future Fund, Dr. Beverly Tatum.
Absolutely.
Is here
Dr.
this morning.
Tatum,
Thank you
appreciate
this morning.
you for coming. And again, everybody that's tuned in online, we appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully we'll be able to see your beautiful face at the next summit again on May 6th. I remembered the date that time. Until then, y'all be safe. It's the Westside, baby. We love you. Have a good one.
Here we go, at the top of the class on the road, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go.